Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Working Trader, where we look at the EUR USD and GBPUSD and come up with trade ideas for the day, if there are any. So, without wasting time, let's jump right into Forex Factory. And today's a Thursday, and in the middle of the night, in my time, 2 a.m., President Trump was speaking, and then around 1:30 p.m. we will have unemployment claims. So right now the markets, a lot of things are going on. Obviously there is the war and all of that, and whenever President Trump speaks, things happen. Okay, so this right here is a reflection of when President Trump spoke in the middle of the night. Okay. So yesterday price continued bullish into this supply area. Okay, in this supply area, as at one touch, there's a second touch, and it's still holding, and now prices reacting from that area. Okay, so price looks like it's going down. Okay, so same thing, we had the supply area that's still holding. Okay, price came in and made a lower low, so now this is our new supply. Okay, price came in, filled this imbalance, failed to mitigate the extreme of the supply, right? But if we can just include the whole range, we can say it did mitigate into that supply range. Okay, and now price looks like it's possibly going to continue dropping until we mitigate maybe this daily demand on the pound. So let's look at the 4H for Euro USD. Let's look at the 4-hour. So obviously we're focusing more on the current range because that's what we're interested in to make our trading decisions. So this is the current range. Okay, that's the current range that we're in. Like that. That's the current range. And within that range, after break of structure, we expect price to pull back. So price did pull back. Okay, made this high and then broke this low. Okay, and then after breaking this low, we had another sharp push up, okay, to the extreme of this internal range. We mitigated the extreme of that internal range, and now we've had a sharp drop. Okay, now we've had a sharp drop, and with this fractal break of structure right there, that could be an indication that price is now willing to continue to drop, maybe towards these areas. Okay, well, actually this area is likely going to be run over. Okay, because it failed to do its job. Okay, it failed to make a higher high. Okay, and we have relative equal lows right there, and then we have a weak internal low right there as well. So the expectation is that price on the high time frames is still bearish and is going to continue bearish. Okay, so looking at the alright, so because of the 15, because of the fractal structure break, okay, right there. Okay, I'm gonna add that as my new 4-hour supply. Okay, I could include the wick as well of that candle, so let me just do that. Okay, alright, so this is what I have, and then I expect this area to fail. Okay, so we're at 1, 2, 3 extended range candles, 4, and then a basing, and then boom. So with 4 extended range candles, price could be of extended, so it is likely that price is now ready to come down to these areas. Okay, so looking at the 15-minute, okay, this is Trump speaking right there. Okay, so let's look at our range. So this is our swing range, which is still intact. Swing range still intact, so still being respected. It has not been violated, so we're still bearish. Okay, so we're still bearish. And then internally, okay, this is liquidity that we're targeting, relative equal lows. And this was the swing high, internal high, okay, which has been respected. This is internal low, which is weak. And I was expecting price to make this move after sweeping these areas. However, price made a very shallow retracement. Obviously, on the lower time frames, you would have caught a 1, 2, 3, possibly around here. Okay, I didn't. So price kept on coming up in this area, and then during New York, still respected our 4-hour supply, and then during New York, it didn't do much really, besides looking like consolidating, created this range, and then before eventually dumping. Okay, and then during Asia, that's when Trump spoke, and then we've had this massive drop as well. Okay, so yeah, yesterday wasn't a nice day for me. Okay, okay, and then let's see. So okay, so I'm gonna remove that. So price came in, mitigated extreme of the range. Okay. Okay. So just a little bit of house cleaning. Alright, so this is what we have. So all of this was taken. Right, and then now, so price made highs, then okay, so this is what we have. This is what we're looking at. So we had relative equal lows, and a minor sweep, come up, failed to make a high, and then now we've made a lower low. We've taken all this liquidity. Okay, all of this. Now price could be targeting this area. We might have some kind of reaction, but ultimately I'm expecting price to continue bearish. Okay, because now now it's the internals have now aligned bearish, so the internal of the internal is also bearish. So now that means our internal is fully bearish, and then the swing is also bearish, so everything has aligned bearish. Okay, so now looking at the details, alright, so price has already moved. I'm just gonna use the wrong tool for this. So price already moved like 73 pips during Asia. Okay, so expectation right now is that price will continue bearish. Okay, so that price will continue bearish, but continue bearish from where? Okay, so anyway in these areas, I'm just gonna cover that. So anyway from there, okay, price could push up, maybe sweep these areas, maybe come into this imbalance. Okay, if it comes into that imbalance, all right, then I may start looking for any confirmation to look for shorts. Okay, and then we may see price continue bearish all the way. Okay, possibly targeting these relative equal lows. So we do have looks like we do have plenty of liquidity areas, so we do have lots of resting liquidity down there. Okay, so expectation would be that. All right, that's what I'll be looking at. Now, whether that's going to happen like that or happen at all, that's a different story. Okay, so obviously we have to read price, see how price behaves. Okay, so what do we have? So in this one, I think there's not much really. Asia just tanked. I don't think it's gonna do a massive pullback. So if it's not going to do a massive pullback, so this could be an area of interest. Okay, that could be an area of interest. So price could just literally come down, maybe come up, mitigate this or sweep this, and then continue bearish. Okay, so all of those are possibilities. So I'm just gonna be waiting to see how price develops. So we have relative equal lows in that area. So actually maybe I'll move okay, I'll move my zone to there. So with the expectation that these look like relative equal lows, relative equal highs. So expectation is that they could be swept. Okay, that could be resting liquidity right there, highs. Right, so price would come up, sweep this, mitigate that, and then looking for shorts. Okay, whether that happens remains to be seen. Okay, so all of this could fail. Price could come up higher, mitigate this imbalance. Okay, fill this imbalance, who knows, before continuing. So it's just a waiting game right now. See how price develops and then make a decision from there. But that's what I'm looking at. Okay, so let's look at the pound dollar, starting on the 4H. Okay, pound dollar starting on the 4H. So we do have resting liquidity. This one was taken, price pushed up. That was necessary for price to make the pullback. We've pulled back into premium. Okay, so we pull back into premium. Alright, pull back into premium. This is a weak low. Okay, so I'm just going to mark that. That's a weak 4-hour low. Alright, that's a 4-hour weak low. We had a sweep. Okay, price came up. Really, there's nothing really to look at. Now we've printed relative equal highs right there. So at some point, price if it comes back up, it would take that liquidity and then possibly use it as fuel to continue back down. Okay, so this is what we have right now. This is the range we're in. Price is mitigated, equilibrium into premium. We could say, okay, this area right there, sweep. Okay, so let me just mark the area. Alright, so we could say, okay, just come into this area. Okay, which is kind of, I want to say it's a decision now, because this is where price block structure, but this is at the equilibrium, so this makes more sense. Alright, and then this is the extreme. Okay, so this is what we have. So nothing much to look at on the 4 hours. So let's look at the 15-minute. Let's look at the 15-minute. So looking at the same range, looking at the same 4-hour range on the 15-minute, this is what we have. Price mitigated there. I thought that's resting liquidity. Price hasn't reached all of these areas. Swept this high, structural high. That was the key one. Okay, so took the structural high. And it did that. Well, it actually did it during K time window. Didn't give the reaction we needed. Came back up, swept it again, and then finally dropped. So yeah, it was a rough day yesterday. Alright, so price did come up to take these areas and then give a reaction. Probably would have been enough for 1 to 3, depending on your stop loss, and then came back up, checked this area out, and then had a sharp drop afterwards. Alright, and then now price is pretty much dropping. Okay, so looking at the details, okay, so obviously the strong high was eliminated. Bum bum. Okay, all these areas of liquidity were taken, no longer relevant. And then this area of supply. Okay, so it's this one. Alright, so we broke structure, came up, which makes this as strong, well, which makes this this was my last break of structure, right? Pam 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 pam. Internal. So now the internal has shifted bearish. Okay, now we've shifted bearish again. Boom, to breaking these lows. Okay, we've shifted bearish, clearly bearish. Alright, so internal is both the internal of the internal is also bearish. 15M, that's my elbows. Okay, so everything is clearly bearish now. So we've aligned, okay, and then we do have extreme and extreme. Okay, so this is our range. So price could react from these areas. Okay, price could react from these areas down, and then this. So this we could say it's already been mitigated right there. Okay, so alright, so this is where price could go, and then we have our Asia low right there. Okay. So this is no longer a weak 15M internal. That is strong because it went on to break our internal structure right there. So looking at the details, price could come in, sweep this area, okay, and then this fractal demand give a reaction to come up, okay. However, because of this strong bullish push, my expectation is that we're going to continue bearish. So I'll be looking at maybe after a sweep of these areas, price comes up, okay, and then maybe we sweep these areas, mitigate this imbalance, okay, and then start looking for shots. Okay, so this is what I'll be expecting, okay, in that order. Okay, of course price could just melt from there, from where it is, just continue melting and just keep on going. Okay, possibly then mitigate this and then have a reaction. So all those are possibilities, right? So yeah, those are my trade ideas for the day, at least the direction. I think today is a bit more clearer. Okay, we are bearish. Everything is aligned. So I think that's the direction to go. So other than that, have a good day, and don't forget to like and to subscribe and to leave a comment if you find value with this material, and invite others, share the content with others as well. Alright, so have a good day. Working Trader out.